Are you trying to get over some kind of heartbreak? Maybe likely it's from a person in your life. It may be a situation. Well, today I'm going to talk about what I've learned to work through this in my life. And if you stay until the end, I have an actual point for you then as well. As always, if you want to connect me further on social media, you can find my links in the show notes below as well. I've had heartbreak many times in my life, small and big. Maybe it was just like I missed out on the job I had my heart set out on. Maybe it was breaking up with someone and me and her didn't work out, or anything in between, right? Now, it can be really hard to kind of share and open up about it. Particularly as a man in the past, I've been a bit like the labels of like, I don't want to be too vulnerable. What will people think of me? And the ego coming in and everything like that. I think it's really important though, because we're all human beings at the end of the day, whatever gender we identify as, right? Whoever we are on the planet, we all are human beings and we have these feelings and emotions as a result. And heartbreak can be a really tough one to really work through. And I think it's often, there's certain figures in personal growth who are very like inspirational, motivational. And I can think of some like people who really smash it in business, people who are top athletes. And they put a lot of emphasis in keep going when you're hurting. And what I've learned is that's not all, well, it's always good to keep going, but that can be counterintuitive sometimes. And I just want to ask you, like, when it hurts, like, and you're really pushing yourself, does it feel good? Probably not. So I wanted to break down some steps that I've really found to help me work through like heartbreak, whether that was kind of like a relationship thing or another situation. So the first thing is being gentle and reducing things down. Sometimes you need more sleep. Sometimes you need more rest. Sometimes you're not going to be fully up for a social event, right? I remember I wasn't podcasting as much at one point because I was already hurt and I had to admittedly recycle some old episodes because I just could not get out there and talk at the time, right? Now, that didn't last very long. It lasted for a week or so. Obviously, I was still hurting after then, but I was able to create a little bit at least after then. Sometimes we just have to reduce, I found, really be gentle and kind on yourself. What I would say on the flip side to that is don't keep going down the path for months or years, right? Now, there could be, again, like I can never speak for someone else's nervous system because we all have feelings stored on our body, we all feel a certain way, right? We all think and then feel a certain way differently. You can never assume what's going on in someone's life. Yeah, I've also seen it where people just still using things like going through heartbreak like years later as an excuse because they're just scared of it happening again. And I've been guilty of that myself as well. I've been like, oh, just wouldn't get out there and start dating for a very long time until I made myself, right? And I was glad I did when I did. So being gentle, but like within that like first month, like there was no chance I was going out there and dating. I had another coach going, you need to get out there straight away. And I was like, no. I will with my time, right? And I'm someone who pushes his limits a lot, right? So know in your own, like feel it in your body, but don't use it as an excuse. Be gentle on yourself. Reduce things if you need to, right? Be protective of your energy because you really matter. The second one, find someone to speak to who listens, does not give advice. Right? If you want someone who's, well, I'll tell you what advice is. Advice, for me, this is the best definition I ever heard of it. Advice is when someone's walked the path ahead of you and they've overcome a challenge similar and they're now in a good position. You're like, okay, cool, I can learn from this person. Opinion is everything else. And people like to use opinion as advice, and it's not really advice, because they've not gone through it themselves. So for me, what I find really important is finding someone who listens when you need to. Like someone may not have gone through it, but they're very good at listening. That's amazing. And I will say to people, I'm like, look, I do not need you to give your opinion, right? I need you to listen. Now, it can be quite hard when you're in like a down state to do that. And you can find someone, if you really do want advice, find someone who's overcome the challenge, right? That heartbreak, similar situation, right? So that's really important because a lot of people just like to say stuff and that can actually make us feel worse. I can remember feeling some of my lowest moments and I love them with all my heart, but there's a particular person in my life who's very close to me, means a lot to me, is not a very good listener, yet tries to be. Well, tries to be there for me and is a great human being. When I talk to her, I often feel worse. I feel a lot worse. So I had to have the conversation, look, I don't feel comfortable sharing with you, but please understand I am processing this by talking to other people, and she now understands that. Like, I would talk to my coach at the time, and he's outstanding. I've got a new coach now, but he was outstanding at just holding space. He had this real strong, healthy, masculine energy where you could just talk to him man to man and he could hold the emotions. I was getting more into my feminine emotions, and then he was able to just listen and allow me to process it. And whatever gender we all have a masculine and feminine, and sometimes I need to unload the feminine side of me, right, as well. Although I do have a very strong masculine core of structure and being there as a model of safety as well, as a dominant. So finding someone who's going to listen, or if you want advice, but be very aware, if people make you feel worse, don't go to them. And then the third one, recall a time when you've overcome something similar, because chances are there's likelihood that you've overcome something similar in your life. And we forget this. We're like, this is the end of the world. We feel it like in our nervous system. I've certainly felt it when I'm like in this threat of being alive, when it's not actually the case. I've overcome more challenging things in my life. So recalling that is really, really important, I found as well. Now, I've got an extra point I want to share with you. Just for that, I want to mention again that if you want to connect with me more on social media, you can find my links in the show notes below. So my final point for you would be, make sure you're doing extended emotional work at least once a week. Well, I'd say this for the rest of your life, wherever you're at, but it's really important. Now, this can be in different forms. For me, it's breath work, and I offer breath work sessions. If you're interested, please give me a message. It's very reasonable as well. Or if it might be journaling, or it might be something like meditation, whatever it is for you, find something that is really, really beneficial to you to process your emotions. Breathwork's a great one for me personally, and it's really helped me transform a lot of my mental health in the past when I've had challenges, because it really allows you to go to the body, not just the mind. It allows you to go through the body and actually unravel some of these emotions that are trapped in the body. So that's what I've got for you today. I appreciate you for being here, and remember to leave with your heart and not with fear.